This is the homework helper for the point slope form worksheet, 7th grade. Let's go and take a look at the first 4 questions. We're going to start off with the first 2 that you see on the screen here. We're graphing all these questions in point slope forms. That's all we have to do. We don't have to think about anything else. As you can see, all the equations here that are up on the screen, they're already all in point slope form. Everything on the worksheet is in point slope form. So it's just a matter of me doing the graphing technique that you saw in the instruction set. So the first thing you want to do is plot the point defined by the opposite of the way x sub 1 and y sub 1 looks. Now it's not hard to find x sub 1 and y sub 1 because they are both right in with their respective variables. The x sub 1 term is in here with x. The y sub 1 term is here with y. So since the x term here with the x looks like it says -1, I'm going to plot its opposite, which is 1. And when we come over here to y sub 1, again, that's in with y, what that looks like is -3. So I'm going to plot its opposite, which is 3. So I'm going to put a dot at 1, 3. So that's pretty easy. 1, 3 means I'm going to go over to 1 on the x-axis and up to 3 on the y-axis. And where those two meet is the point 1, 3. And then I look at my slope. My slope is right after the equal sign in front of that x block of information here. My slope is 2. Now remember, slope has to be a fraction, so it's not going to be 2. It's actually going to be 2 over 1. We know how we can write any whole number as a fraction by just simply putting it over 1. So a slope of 2 over 1 means I'm going to rise 2 and run 1. So from this point, I need to make 2 jumps up and then go 1 jump to the right and put my next dot down, and then I'll connect my point. And there's the graph of y minus 3 equals 2x minus 1 in point slope form. All right, let's go over and look at number 2 here. Y plus 0 equals 1/2 times x plus 3. So again, I want to start off and I want to plot the point defined by the opposite of x sub 1 and the opposite of y sub 1. So again, the x block here is where you'll find the x information you need, where it says x. The y block here on the left side is where you'll find the y information you need. So as we look at the x block over here, it looks like that says +3. So I'm going to plot its opposite, -3. When I come over to the y block here, it's 0. Well, as you're well aware, 0 doesn't have an opposite. All right? There's no +0, there's no -0. The opposite of 0 is just 0. So the point I'm going to plot here is going to end up being -3, 0. So to plot the point -3, 0, that means I'm just simply going to go over to -3 on the x-axis. 0 means I don't go up or down. So just put a dot at -3 on the x-axis. Then I look at my slope. My slope here is 1/2. A slope of 1/2 means I'm going to rise 1 and run 2. So from this point, I'm going to rise 1, meaning go up 1, and then run 2, go 2 blocks to the right. And I connect my points, and there's the graph of y plus 0 equals 1/2 times x plus 3. All right, let's go ahead and continue on now and take a look at 3 and 4 here. All right, here's number 3. Number 3 says y plus 7 equals -2/3 times x plus 0. Defined by the opposite of x sub 1 and the opposite of y sub 1. Again, that information is not hard to locate. The
x information is with x, the y information is with y, so we don't really have to go looking across the page for it. So to start off, I'm going to grab my point here. As far as the x block here, well, that looks like it says 0. So its opposite is still going to be 0, as we just explained in the last question. So the x point I'm going to plot is 0. The y coordinate of that point, well, this over here in the y block says +7. So I'm going to plot its opposite, which is going to be -7. So I'm going to put a dot at 0, -7. So that means I don't have to go right or left. I just have to go down 7, put a dot. All right, now my slope. Again, the slope is always right after the equal sign when it's written in proper point slope form, right in front of this x block of parentheses here. So my slope here is -2/3. So slope of -2/3
means I'm going to go down 2 because it's negative. Negative is going to make me go down. Positive would make me go up. And then to the right 3. Remember, we're always going to go to the right. So from here, this point I just made, I'm going to make 2 jumps down and then go 3 jumps to the right. And I connect my points, and there's the graph of y plus 7 equals negative 2/3 times x plus 0. All right, one more question here, number 4. Y minus 5 equals 4 times x minus 2. So, again, start off, plot the point defined by the opposite of x sub 1 and the opposite of y sub 1. Again, you only have to look to the x block for the x information you need and to the y block for the y information you need. So in over here with x, looks like that says minus 2 or negative 2. So I'm going to plot its opposite, which is positive 2. Looking at the y block there, well, that's where I find my y information. It looks like that says negative 5. So I'm going to plot its opposite, which is positive 5. So I'm going to put a dot at 2, 5. So 2 on the x-axis, 5 on the y-axis, pulled together, they meet right there. All right, then the slope. Slope here is 4. All right, well remember, slope has to be a fraction as we saw back in question number 1. So I'm going to write that as a fraction. So I'm not just going to write 4, I'm going to write 4 over 1. A slope of 4 over 1 means I'm going to rise 4 and then run 1. So from this point, I have to make 4 jumps up and then 1 jump to the right. And I put that dot down, and I connect my points, and there's the graph of y minus 5 equals 4 times x minus 2, and point slope 4. Continue on doing the same thing. There's no variation in what you're doing tonight here. Everything is graphing in point slope form. Use the exact same techniques you saw in 1 through 4 to graph all the rest of the questions.